Everyone, Daniel Forte here, Associate Manager of Access Controls at Control Products. Thanks for joining us today here to go over Doorbird's IP video intercoms. Today we're going to kind of focus on a few specific models that we think kind of meet the perimeter gate market. Let's see here. We're also at the end going to go over briefly our wireless bridge solutions that we offer here at Control Products. Today with us, we have Justin Clark, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Justin, but Head of Sales, US East. He's going to do the presentation on the Doorbird portion of it and go from there. We do want to let you know we are recording, and then for chat, please use the chat box for your questions, and we'll go from there. I'm going to kick it over to you, Justin.
Right on, Daniel. Thank you so much. And you were right, Head of Sales, US. We're going to drop the East, and we're just going to take over the whole country, okay?
Perfect. Awesome.
So, super excited to be here with you all. As Daniel mentioned, we want to talk about our solution, highlight some of the products we think make most sense for the gate market, and talk about some of our features and advantages over the competition. So just a little bit of insight about the company. We are a German-based company. Our headquarters is based out of Berlin, but we have offices in the States in Jacksonville, Florida on the East Coast. That's where I sit, as well as San Francisco, California. So sales and tech support in the US to provide support for you. The basic functionality with Doorbird, everything is really centered around the app. Now that's gonna make a lot of sense in just a second, but we put a lot of attention, a lot of focus on the app because we wanna make sure that the user has an ideal experience to make sure it's easy for you and you're not doing any troubleshooting with the app and your customer. So the app is available on iOS or Android. It gives you connection to up to 8 smart devices. So one door station means that 8 individuals can connect to the door station remotely, regardless of where they are. They'll have the ability to trigger a relay to open a door or a gate. And of course, they can see the individual immediately by means of live video, as well as audio. There's also a free visitor history. So 50 still images are immediately saved right there inside of the app, and that's going to be based on someone hitting your call button at the gate or just based on motion. And there's no licensing fees. So no required monthly fees whatsoever. There is a cloud recording for video clips, 20-second clips, that is $57 a year, but it's not a requirement and you're not paying any licensing for the app. Okay, so all of the configuration is done by means of the Doorbird app. Again, we put a lot into that. Or you can use the web admin portal if you would rather use a computer. One document that we give you that allows you to use easy programming is called a digital passport. And on this digital passport, it contains a QR code. So the programming looks like this. You take the QR code, you take the Doorbird app, and you simply scan it. And immediately you're live. The Doorbird is on. So we really stress the ease of installation and configuration. And of course, Daniel and the people at CPSG can even speak more to that, on how easy it is to install Doorbird. Again, another comment about the app, because we put a lot into this, we recently did a review of apps and app reviews that are available by means of iOS and Android, and you can see a pretty big distinction between us and many of our competitors. So that is a big focus of us. And again, we're putting a lot there, making sure that you have a quality product, a quality experience for your customers. Another feature of the app that makes a lot of sense for gate installations is geofencing. So every door station we have is going to give you this feature. Now with geofencing, this means when I drive to a certain distance or proximity from my gate, it automatically triggers open by means of the GPS on my phone. So from our D11, the small unit that we have, to our gate entries, our multi-tenant, all of them feature this geofencing solution. And it's a great solution because you can have the gate automatically open for your customer just based on them arriving close to the home. All right, so all of our door stations are IP65 rated. They are designed to be out in the elements. They're designed to be in hot and cold elements. Again, a global company, so we have this installed around the world. All of our door stations, or many of our door stations, feature a RFID reader. There's a motion sensor with 4D technology, keypad, even multi-tenants with a directory. So this is all available to you in different door stations, and we can talk about those different ones in a second here. Another big focus of Doorbird is the aesthetic, trying to make something that not only functions beautifully, but looks good too. And so we have door stations in your stainless steel, which is pretty much our default, but we can go crazy. We can go bronze, we can go titanium. We have burnished brass. We have a real bronze now. So keep that in the back of your mind for your clients. If they want something a little unique, a little customized, we can make that happen. So here we're looking at some of our single occupant door stations. I'm not going to talk too much about this. I just want you to know that they're available. So again, if you need something smaller for maybe the door, or maybe it is going to be at the gate and you still want to trigger that open, but you need something that's a very small form factor, we have that available as well. If you want fingerprints, we have that available. Again, the list is pretty extensive here. But today we're going to focus on a few specific door stations. And the first one is the D1101KH. So this D1101KH comes with the surface mount back box and the shroud. It has an integrated keypad, and this features our 1080p camera. So if you look at the relays or terminals on the back rather, you'll see that you can have a hardwired LAN or PoE connection. So this is where you're going to tie your Ethernet cable in here, and you'll be looking at the individual wires and just plugging that into your Phoenix terminal. This one has one relay built in, and we'll talk about the relays and why that makes sense with some of our accessories in a second here. But there's one relay built in, so you can wire this to a gate or a door. And then you do have an EXT terminal or a request to exit terminal as well that will trigger relay one. This one is powered by PoE. In fact, all of our door stations are powered via PoE. However, you can also use a separate power supply. It's 15-volt DC power supply as well. This unit does need to be hardwired. We have a version that's just a surface mount without the keypad that can be Wi-Fi, but this unit here itself does need to be hardwired. And there's a couple of ways we can make that happen, and we're going to talk about that in a second here. The next unit is our D2101KV. So this is probably one of the most popular units that's being installed on gates right now. And as you can see, it has the integrated keypad. And when I talk about that keypad means that I can now give out codes that sit on schedule. So I can give you a code that allows you access maybe between 10 to 12, Monday through Friday. So great in a commercial setting when I want to regulate someone's hours. I can also delete that code remotely from the app. I have the ability to administer fobs right here with the RFID reader that have the same type of schedule settings. And I can give that out remotely regardless of where I am. And again, this unit does have to be hardwired. So the terminals on the back are a little bit differently with the D2101KV. I have two relays built in. So now I can do front door, back door, I can do gate, side gate, or what's seen oftentimes with the D2101KV is relay one is just a temporary open. So this is the normal opening that I have when I'm coming through my gate. And then relay two, we program that to be a toggle or a hold open. So you have that option, and right there in the Doorbird app, they can select hold open or a temporary open. This one also has the EXT terminal and the option for the separate power supply, but keep in mind, you can also power it via PoE. Now, to speak about the RFID reader that Doorbird provides, all of our D21 models, such as the D2101KV we're looking at here, they have an RFID reader. Now, one of the questions that you're probably thinking is there Wiegand? And the answer is no, not for the D21 series. It's not Wiegand. It's not proprietary, but it is unique in that it only reads 125 kilohertz, 64-bit credentials. So we are working on some Wiegand solutions. In fact, one of the units I'm going to show you next does feature Wiegand, but this unit is not a Wiegand unit. And please, Daniel, if I'm missing anything that makes sense for the audience, feel free to chime in.
No, one of the things I like to mention is, the toggle, which you already hit, right? That we do need to separate and use separate relays, whether we're going to be momentary or toggle. But to make things easy in the app for the end user, we can name those relays, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but we can name them. So
Absolutely.
It's real easy. When they go to trigger, they have a quick button that says open, the other one that says hold open, things like that make it really nice, and it makes a good end user experience.
That's it, yeah. So there might be a little bit more wiring you're doing initially for the relays, but the end user's perspective is just this option or that option. It's very simple for them. And so you're absolutely right, those can be renamed. Okay, so that's a D20 kV, and all of the units I'm showing you come with surface mount box, or rather, surface mount box are optional. You also have protective hoods as well, and they'll fit nicely on a pedestal or a gooseneck. Okay, so one of the units we're really excited about is different than many of the other products that we've manufactured. It's our D1812. So you've all seen this unit, no doubt. If you don't know, this is the 1812 from Door King, very iconic entry system. For some neighborhoods, you can go door to door and see this unit. However, there are some features lacking from this. We don't have video, we don't have an app, or a solid app, we should say. And of course, we don't have remote connectivity to see the person regardless of where we are. So we were thinking, well, how can we add Doorbird IP technology to this? Well, we came up with the D1812. And you'll notice this is a hybrid upgrade. And so rather than saying we're trying to replace Dorking, because that's not really our focus, we're trying to add on, we're trying to enhance it. So with this unit, you would actually take the faceplate off of the 1812 Classic, and you would install the faceplate of the D1812. And I actually have a video here I'm going to show you because I think it can do a better job explaining it. So give me just 1 second.
While you're getting that video going, we did have one question. It was on the relays, they're configurable from the app to switch between normally open and normally closed? I'll take it. The answer is yes. So via the app, you can change the state of that relay, whether it's a normally open circuit or a normally closed. So
perfect. And you're seeing my screen okay?
You're not seeing a video.
Okay, cool. That's fine. Should see it in just a second. Okay, awesome. So hopefully that came through fine for everyone. But just to back up for a second so I can speak more to the D1812, you'll notice in the video that, again, it's not necessarily a replacement, but we're adding on. So what that means is that if you have an 1812 Classic and they have the landline connection to the customer's home, that's still working. So we're not taking that out. That will still work. They'll still be able to trigger the relay by means of the DTMF on that landline phone. But in addition to that, they also have the ability for remote connection through our Doorbird app. So they can see, they can talk to the person, they can create codes on the fly for a vendor or for a guest. And of course, that's all without any monthly requirement. So that is our D1812. We're very excited about it. And you probably noticed too that this one does feature a Wiegand output. So it could be part of a larger access control system. Okay, so I want to talk about our indoor station, our A1101. So of course we have the Doorbird app, and many customers are very excited and happy to use that. But some prefer a stationary device on the wall so they don't have to have their phone with them all the time when they're at home. And that's what the indoor station is. It gives you audio, it gives you video, it gives you relay triggering right from this unit. It can be on the wall or it can be mounted right on a desk. This can work with as many door stations as you want. You could have several indoor stations for one door station, and this one connects via Wi-Fi or hardwired LAN connection. A critical device that we've noticed in the gate industry is our IO door controller. So for instance, some of our units, they only give you one relay. And when you want the option to have temporary open or hold open or toggle for a gate, for instance, then you need multiple relays. Well, here goes our A1081 or our IO door controller. This gives you 3 relays per box. Each of those relays are treated individually, so you can configure them on their own duration. You can also give permissions out, so maybe not everyone gets access to all 3, maybe just those who need it. And again, you can set one to be a hold open or one to be temporary. This unit connects via Wi-Fi or LAN. And really, when we talk about wiring in the Doorbird system, everything is on the network. So we just need to get the devices back to the network. So the door station doesn't actually wire to this unit, but this unit is connecting to the customer's network, either Wi-Fi or LAN. And we figured all that out, and the people at CPSG have some great solutions, and that's part of why we're doing this in tandem with Ubiquiti to highlight just how easy it is to get Doorbird up and running. But again, this is a critical unit, and I want to make sure that I'm not missing any necessary detail on this one, Jerry.
No, I think you're hitting it there. So what I would like to call out, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is this requires having a door station, right? You can't just have an IO controller on a site. It does require having a door station. How many of these can I have once I have one door station?
We have no limit. And you're absolutely right. You do need a door station for this one. I'll be talking to you later this year. We have a standalone version coming out that will actually not require a door station, but this one does.
Gotcha. Exactly. So what I'm saying here is that I could have one door station and control as many relays through that app around the perimeter of my property, right? Once I have the one door station. So that's a nice thing to have. And all those, if you think about it in like the pedestrian gate situation, so I'm using a D2101 and I need hold open. So I've tapped out my relays just on my automatic gate. I can still utilize the keypad to fire this device too.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. It's so customizable and scalable based on the situation that you need. You have it right.
And we do have one question in the chat box, and it's a good one. So they understand that party mode has now been enacted in the D1812. The question is, so that makes it to where I could have one relay through the app. I can momentary and do a hold open through one relay via the app. I do think the limitation is you still, if you needed a keypad code, you would have to utilize 2 apps, right? I mean, 2 relays, sorry.
Correct. Yeah, correct. So we're working on making that basically what you guys are asking for to be a little bit easier. We understand the needs there to have a gate open and stay open, and then sometimes to stay open temporarily.
So the actual question,
right.
the actual question is, will this end up being available in other models? And you can answer that part of it.
That's right. Yeah. So party mode or hold open mode will be available in future Doorbirds for sure.
Perfect.
All right. So again, just to highlight, like all of our units, this one can be powered via PoE, or you can use a transformer, a 15-volt DC transformer, which it is supplied with. Okay, so another crucial accessory is the A1071 or 2-wire Ethernet PoE converter. So again, talking about how do we get the Doorbird online, right? Sounds great, sounds easy, but how do I get it connected to the internet, connected to the customer's router? Well, this is one way you can make that happen. What this accessory does is it gives you the option to turn your 2-wire pair, it could be 18.2, 22.2, whatever pair you have there, it turns it essentially into an Ethernet or CAT cable. So it'll allow you to send data and power over just 2 wires. So you'll have one end that's next to your PoE injector or your router, and then you'll have the other end next to your Doorbird or whatever IP device you're working on. And as long as you stay under about 260 feet of distance, then it's going to treat those 2 wires as a CAT cable, that end power. So this will solve a lot of issues that you have out there in the field when you are presented with at least one pair to work with. But then there are some times where you don't even have that, and we'll speak to that in just a second. Keep in mind too that many of our units now are being manufactured around this device because it's becoming so crucial. So for instance, the D1101KH we spoke about earlier, there's actually a cavity right inside the unit to house the receiver end of the A1071. The D1812 also has a cavity there too, and future units will also present you an option of making that installation easy. So at this time, we want to go ahead and look at some other options of getting the Doorbird online, and Daniel Forte is going to take it from there.
All right, I did actually, not via chat, but got a text message question that I don't know the answer to. It says, will party mode feature be available on existing units when it's added in the future, or is it going to be a hardware replacement situation? So outside of the D1812, so think like D1101 or something like that. Would it be a firmware deal or a hardware replacement?
So, and this is where I have to say I'm not 100% sure. I never want to mislead you. However, I do believe pretty strongly that it's going to be firmware. So firmware will update, just like the DH12 didn't have it and now it does, right? So firmware update will allow our units, existing units, to have it. And in the future, obviously those units coming out will roll out with that option. But again, just a little disclaimer on that. I'm not absolutely certain, but that's what I believe right now.
Okay, perfect. That answers best we can, right?
Absolutely.
So, all right, we're going to jump over. So here to talk a little bit about the wireless Ethernet bridge solutions we offer here at Control Products. And why do we pair it up with Doorbird? Because a high percentage of our Doorbirds that leave with these products on the same invoice. We've just come to find that in situations where the infrastructure is not available, or maybe the 2-wire PoE doesn't work because of distance limitations, we've been using the Ubiquiti, specifically Ubiquiti bridges. But things that we want to talk about there is really, and we kind of hammer this in my department, is just kind of doing that, pre-site testing, right? So we want to make sure that we're setting you up for success. So we really want to hammer on, one, we're not adding any additional monthly fees. We don't need to drop, an extra internet source at the gate, right? And pay anything extra, right? We're tapping into what's existing at the house, that sort of deal. Things we need to consider when using these products, obstructions, buildings, trees, like that. So that's why we say pre-test. And we really like one specific model for that. And we'll go over that here in a second. No trenching, right? So this isn't Wi-Fi. This is point to point. So essentially we are just replacing your Ethernet cable with a wireless bridge. So we do go hardwired into one end, and then we shoot it wirelessly down to the gate area, wherever the entry point area is, and then we're going to hardwire out of the back end of it. They do require 115 out of the box, so we have to be able to plug into a receptacle. But if you're ever in the application where that's just not available on the other end, think solar application, or we just don't have the space to plug it in down at the gate, we have options here at Control Products to make it into a low voltage solution. So go ahead and jump to the next slide. So this is kind of our bread and butter unit, point to point. It's the Loco M2. And why buy them from Control Products? Well, I'll throw out what I think is the big reason why we sell a bunch of these, when you could potentially buy them from a ton of different sources, is the units we will sell you are pre-configured. They're plug and play. So we don't need to waste time in the field actually configuring these units. I've done it before myself in the past. I'm not an IT guy, so it takes me a little bit longer than others. So we figure for a couple extra bucks, we're saving you some time out there in the field. We like this unit. It runs on 2.4 gig, which will actually penetrate obstacles or bend around obstacles better than, say, 5 gig. So this is why it's our bread and butter unit, one of the main reasons. The other is the signal strength meter that's on the back of it. So without even connecting internet to this unit, put power to them. You point them at each other, 60 degrees of each other, and you can see on the back whether you're going to get a connection or not. So that is why this is kind of our bread and butter unit versus some of the others. So they do have a up to 3 mile range, but that is true line of sight. So that's why we put up the big disclaimer. And like we say, the pre-work is going to make your life better. So if you're out on a sales call doing something like that and you're considering using this product, you really should make sure it's going to work, obviously, before you sell it. Don't get into a situation where you think, oh, I think it'll work. I'm looking, I see the distance. I highly suggest that we test it, because not all sites are created equal, right? You might have more traffic on 2.4 gig in this application than you would at the last application, even though they almost look identical. They are outdoor rated, so we are mounting these outdoors, pointing them directly at each other. I have applications where we put them inside NEMA boxes. Obviously, let's avoid metal housings. go ahead and jump over to the next slide here, and we'll talk about the 5AC. So the 5AC does not have the signal strength. We do use these in the applications, and the reason we point towards these is when we need higher speeds. So we're running more than a Doorbird at the gate. We're running Doorbirds, cameras, other things where we just need to carry higher speeds of internet. These are more of a line of sight device. So when we're using these, I'm typically going to recommend that we cannot mount them in the house and penetrate a wall or two. We're going to actually need to mount these outdoor. Same idea, point them 60 degrees of each other and go from there. They, like I said, they do carry the higher speeds than the 2.4 does, but do not penetrate walls as well. So we show you these two options, these kind of one-to-one applications. But if you get into a situation where you have multiple gates that are going different directions, we can't point within 60 degrees of each other, reach out to my department or connectivity at controlproducts.com, and we can talk about other solutions. I have ones that are, one to many. So we could go, one inside station pointing back at 6 outside stations for 6 different gate locations, and we can get internet without having to buy 6 different sets. We buy one kit that's pre-configured, all plug and play, and you can get internet to a bunch of different locations on a property. So that's my quick spiel on it. We really have found high success when pairing Doorbird with Ubiquiti. And it's kind of changed things. I mean, Justin's seen this himself. The sales kind of ramp up, right, as we brought on the Ubiquiti stuff and really kind of push the two solutions together. He's seen it from his end, and he sees that. And plus, right, you go to the shows or our open houses, and once we start talking about that solution, you see the light bulb turn on. Correct, Justin?
Absolutely. And it's exciting for us because, we come from more of the AV side of things and not realizing until recently that we actually had a product that was very, very solid for the gate world. And so now, it's to the point where we're manufacturing units that are specifically not just for gate, but just for the North American marketplace. Being a global company, that's a really big deal for us who sit in the US. And almost all the conversations we have point back to, okay, how do I get it online? And we recognize that that's a real, it's a real issue or a real challenge that a lot of you run up against because the gate is not right there at the front door. It's not at the house, it's not at the router. There's some distance there. So providing solutions to make that simple and effective are critical for us now. And we love this integration with Ubiquiti.
Yep. So we did have a couple questions there in the chat. We'll look at what did we have here. I'm not very experienced with this product, but if we have an old telephone line in place at an intercom, can we use those wires with the 2-wire PoE essentially to connect to the house router?
So I'm going to say a couple things about this because again, we're talking about one of my favorite devices, the A1071, the 2-wire converter. One, I wish I knew about them when I installed. Two, out of all of our products, out of all of our accessories, this is a fan favorite, okay? They are raved upon constantly. People love them. You just have to use them. And I'll say this too, though, as Daniel mentioned with Ubiquiti, the bridges, test it out. Can it work there? It can, absolutely, but always test it just to make sure before you design a whole project and quote and bid around, that connection part.
But I do think that is the intent of this product, right? Is when the infrastructure is set up to where we're not going to be able to pull cat wire, but you have that old telephone wire. And we have done this. I would just say, at Control Products, we've done it successfully with Doorbird. We use that Doorbird product, like Justin mentioned, with other products that accept PoE. So it can be done. We've done it specifically on old phone wire, intercom wire, stuff like that. So, and done it with good success.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that is what they're designed for. They're an incredible product. Again, I just always want to give that disclaimer to test it out. But yeah, exactly. That's what it's for. So give it a try.
The follow-up question is test how. And to test how would be to have a pair and hook them up and make sure that you have that internet on the other side. Next question came in. It's speaking to the Ubiquities. Asked, can we have repeaters? And the answer is yes. Now, that means at that repeater point, we need power, obviously, right? I guess we could do it solar or something like that. But yes, you can bounce through separate repeaters. At that point, that's another time where you want to reach out and speak to myself or one of our product experts here at Control Products and talk about, that application. We've done it in the sense of having one of the 360 devices where you're shooting from the house to the 360-degree device and then shooting from the gate to kind of get around like a forest on a dog leg driveway. We've also done where we've gone out or, shot one set down, come out of a set, shot into another set. The guy I work with who we purchase these from and he pre-configures us says you probably don't want to do that more than 4 times, as far as going in a set and out of another set, but it can be done. Just got a question. Will branches be supplied with units to test with Ubiquity? It's one of those things that it's a low cost item that I would suggest if this is a business you're going to be in as a dealer, you put one on your truck and you kind of cycle through them. We don't have a specific demo unit currently at each branch. I should probably think about that so dealers can go out and test. But it is one of those things where it's almost considered a tool, right? You're talking less than $200 on your truck to drive around with and make sure you're going to be set up for success. It doesn't take long, right? I think every installer here knows that the $200, that's rolling a truck probably halfway to the job. So we can open it up. Any more questions? We're well short of the time, but actually we just did get one. Card, fob reader, accessories.
Yeah, so we do feature a RFID reader inside of our D21 models, as well as the D1812. Now, if you're asking for a standalone version, I'm not sure if that's where you're going. We actually have one that should be out in the next couple months. So yeah, we're excited about that too. It'll be a keypad as well as an RFID reader built into one unit. It can go standalone too, which is kind of cool. Or it could be part of a Doorbird system with weekend output.
See the question from R. Johnson. We will send out a recording of this webinar so you can catch that first 20, 30 minutes and share it with cohorts as well. And while I got the mic, this promo you see on the screen here, coupon code Doorbird, you can go through controlproducts.com and in the checkout section, just punch in Doorbird for the coupon code. You're going to get 10% off all Doorbird products. That's somewhat unprecedented. Just want to point that out. 10% off this product is super rich, but it is running for a full month for folks on this webinar only. So definitely take advantage of that. And hopefully you understand all the feature sets and value prop of Doorbird. I mean, tons of, purpose-built products for our industry, easy connectivity options. When you meet that objection of monthly fees, great product to plug in, retrofit opportunities. I think Kozak gets a gold star for asking that question. What can I do with those existing 2 wires that are already out there for phone lines, or in the small flats that you might run into more urban areas? There are a lot of intercoms out there, maybe a phone or intercoms of the like that have just 2 wires running out. What an amazing opportunity to retrofit those products with a smart video system. So really bravo. Well done with Doorbird. We've been working together, quite some time, kind of helped introduce this to the gate market several years ago. And it's been fun watching the product evolution really kind of rise up to meet our needs.
Absolutely. And again, I'll mention another statement since you're talking about the A1071s. I got to jump in there again. I have guys literally who come up to me at shows with all weird different ways they've made those things work. So again, I say that just to highlight how extremely versatile they are. Definitely take them out, play around with them. There's a lot of projects out there you probably think can't happen until you use a pair of those, or it's going to save a ton of time and money.
Another thing that we get requests for, Justin, or concerns with are, hey, well, this is all good and dandy, but I live on the coast. How are these things going to hold up, in Florida and California on the coastlines or where there's salt air? Do you guys have any solutions for that?
We do. Yeah, that's a really good point. And again, global company, we have these installed in just about all the climates. We have a ton installed in Florida and probably even more in California. What's cool about Doorbird is we pay a lot of attention to the quality of the metal that we're using. So we have a whole segment just on finishes and the architecture of our units that we can get into at some time. But to answer your question, we do have a V4A stainless steel saltwater resistant material. So for our coastal areas, I 100% recommend you look at those units. Now, what that means is the metal is richer. It's a higher quality of stainless steel, so it's going to be able to deal with the elements a lot better than the V2A. So even the V2A, though, the regular one is solid. However, that one, I always say, make sure you're out there taking care of it. So it's you want to touch it up every once in a while, throw a little WD-40 on it, not a big deal at all. But that way, it continues looking beautiful, and it's something that complements the customer's entry to their home.
So we did have a couple more questions here. Will the RFID be wireless to the door, i.e. IRE controller?
So will the standalone keypad we're coming out with and RFID, will that connect to a door controller wirelessly? And if that's the answer or the question, yes, it will. Now keep in mind this RFID reader / keypad will also have relays built into it itself because it can be standalone, or it can work with a door controller or a door station.
Yeah, and I think the one thing here, and you mentioned it when talking about the door controller specifically, is these are, we'll call them network-based devices. So never do we have to wire anything really back to it, right?
That's it.
These are all going to just be connected through the network. So we're never connecting device to device. Another question, what would you recommend for a pedestrian gate? That really comes into the needs of the job, right? Because they have like the D1101V. If I don't need a keypad, that's a great model to put if I just need intercom right at a pedestrian gate. I see that done a lot of the times in, Silicon Valley, Northern California. But if I need a keypad, it just depends, right? I think our bread and butter in those applications, because we do want a keypad at most locations on my jobs, is the D2101KV. And that is our highest selling model at Control Products. One, because it has the 2 relays and we can get all the functionality out of it.
Yeah, that's our highest selling model, period, for Doorbird US is the D2101KV. The Germans, again, German company, they always laugh at us that we love our keypads. So essentially any unit we have with the keypad does very, very well. And the D2101KV tops that list.
Is there a cellular option?
Currently, no cellular option at this time. And one of the reasons that we say that is because we want to make sure that you have an option to your clients, whether it's a commercial client or a homeowner, that allows them to not have to pay another monthly fee. We're just going to use the monthly fee they're already paying by means of their internet service. And end users love that solution. And that's why we're talking about how we can get it online in these different options. So will we have a cellular option in the future? Probably. But currently, right now, no cellular options.
Yep, nothing through Doorbird, but I have heard personally of people tying them into cradle points and things of that nature. Just you got to be cognizant of if someone's going to be sitting there, monitoring their camera at all times, right? We're going to have a lot of data eaten up. So that's one of those things there. One thing we didn't touch on is if anyone does do cameras, right, these can be tied into an NVR for recording. So they are a highly integratable product, right? And that's why I think you kind of came through the AV market, right? Because those guys love integrating with home automation equipment.
Yeah, my issue with Doorbird, because it is so feature rich, is what should I focus on? So to Daniel's point, I've taken a lot of the extra bells and whistles and highlighted what I think makes sense. But absolutely, if you want to connect Doorbird to an NVR on that customer site, if you want the ability to integrate with a home automation platform such as Control4, Savant, URC, we have tons and tons and loads of integration possibilities. And it's very possible because, again, it's an IP solution. So that's another webinar, but to answer the question for sure.
Exactly. And I'm glad. And that's what we kind of want to dial in and focus on the gate market today, and specifically the products we're seeing a lot of traction with through Control Products. And I appreciate you focusing that way today.
Absolutely. Don't get me started, man.
Since we do have a few extra minutes, Justin, maybe we can go back and just review some of the features and benefits. And because I think, if this is your first time, seeing Doorbird, some of those may not have really sunk in. And can we go back to one of those slides that shows?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, why he's doing that, one thing I like to talk about, which he didn't, and I know he loves it, and they're really fond of it, is on their website, they have, if you don't find the right model for your application, they have a custom configurator. You can build whatever really Doorbirds you want, right, Justin?
That's right. Yeah, that's another thing that's taken off. That's big for us is the configurator. So let's say you get out there and there's an existing system, and maybe this one's coming out this fancy pilaster, and you don't want to mess with stone cladding or whatever the case is, and you need to fit the dimension that's there. Take a look at our configurator. You have the ability to increase the dimension, for instance, of the unit you're working at. Maybe you want to integrate some fancy feature like an integrated fingerprint reader, or maybe the customer is real high class and they want a bronze unit. We have all that built into the configurator, and we can walk you through that to build something that's truly unique and custom. So what we're looking at right here is, again, the app. I like to go back here because, again, everything comes back down to the app. And a lot of our competitors, they've come to the app kind of after the fact. They have a unit and now they say, oh, apps are important. Let's make an app. Well, for us, we came out with an app, and that has to do with our start. But we put a lot into it. And you're going to have the ability to give the app on a single occupant door station. You have control over the app for 8 different devices. So mom, dad, the kids, employees can have access to the app. And again, that means they're going to get the notification simultaneously. The first one who answers gets priority over audio, but everyone can see immediately on-demand live video. It means they have the ability to trigger the relay to open. And we're giving all of these features with servers out of Germany and out of the US and other places in the world. We're giving all these features without any licensing or monthly fees. It's just part of the system and experience that we've developed. Another benefit of the app here is that it allows you on the fly to program. So right on the fly, using your device, you can scan the QR code or the digital passport that comes with the door station. Now, this is going to contain the MAC address, other credentials and information that's specific to that Doorbird. You're able to scan all that immediately into the customer's phone, and in a matter of a couple minutes, they can see live video. So I think, again, when we talk about programming and configuration, what does this look like? Is it difficult? It's probably one of the easiest systems you would get online ever. The biggest component here is really just getting the device internet. And we talked about some options for making that happen.
Yeah, I think that's how you sold me on the product, Justin, right? You came to San Jose and you showed me how easy it was to download the app, scan a QR off, and we're running, right? I was receiving calls within minutes. And that's really when I was sold personally on Doorbird as a great solution for our market. One feature that we use and I talk about, and I don't know that you've used it in this way, is the motion sensor, right? Because you can receive notifications via the device via motion. You could set those hours, like I want to be alerted when someone's out by my gate in the middle of the night, but I can also trigger a relay, right? So I can create a situation where I have free entry into my gate during the day, because we do get that request from time to time. We normally do it with loops, and we convert them at night back to, reversing loops. But we can use the Doorbird for that. We can set parameters from 6 in the morning to 6 at night. You pull by this thing, it's going to kick open. And we've done it before.
Yeah, I think I like to explain it this way. To get like the necessity out of Doorbird, just to get online and get the notifications, talk to the person, that's like that, right? It's immediate. And then you can keep digging deeper to just customize it and make it the way you want. So if you want to do something fancy with emotions, if you want the ability to use geofencing, like we spoke about earlier, to trigger the gate automatically, that's all available there too. And like, Daniel's doing some pretty cool tricks with motion there. So absolutely. And again, that's right through the app. But again, we also have the web admin portal. So if you prefer to do all this on a keyboard, you have that option as well.
So 2 questions. I'll start with the second question first. But does the indoor station count as one of the smart devices of your 8?
That's a great question. And the answer is no. That's totally separate, and there's no limit on how many indoor stations that you can have.
And then, this multi-tenant unit for gated communities, and I'll let you touch on that.
Yeah, so we do multi-tenant, and I'll say this, and again, this is where I can be transparent with you and hopefully build your trust and confidence in Doorbird, is that when it comes to a smaller multi-tenant scenario, maybe you have, 15, 20 houses behind a gate, or maybe you have a couple houses behind a gate. I think we got that all day long. The solution looks very similar to what we've already discussed. You're just going to either have a directory or you're going to have individual call buttons. That's where I believe currently we stand when it comes to multi-tenant. For the larger projects, technically we can go up to 200 because most of this is added to the system very tediously, like a single occupant would be manipulated in the system. Personally, I want to come back to you when we have a more robust solution for multi-tenant. So that's the manufacturer right now telling you, I want you to focus on this and smaller MDU. Yes, we could do 200, but in just a little bit of time, we'll have a platform that I think you'll believe is amazing for those larger projects.
Yeah, I like how you call that out, because you know how I feel about it. Me and Justin discuss these things all the time about the multi-tenant world. Great in your walk-up application in the kind of inner city, replacing an old A phone, that sort of thing. But there just are some limitations there, and I like that you're transparent about it. And the biggest one is that out of the box, this device calls apps, not landlines, right? They can be integrated with SIP, but out of the box, it dials apps, and you can do it with indoor stations and things like that. But really, I think you guys got some good things coming in the future for that space.
We do really good things. Every once in a while, I'll get a customer who's working on a project and they're just like, no monthly fees. Well, even our multi-tenant at this time, no monthly fees. And so, it works, they make it happen. But again, I think we have some items there that we're going to be adding very soon that will make a really amazing solution.
So next question, does the indoor unit need to only be on the same network or hardwired to the gate device?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And I'm going to be able to highlight the beauty of the indoor station in that it doesn't have to be on the same network as the door station. Ideally, you want it on the same network. And here's why. Because if internet fails, for whatever reason, internet goes out, but power is still up. So if internet fails, but power is still up, they can still connect. So if someone hits the door station, it's still notifying the indoor station. However, if you're working off of internet, you really don't have any limitations there. I could have an indoor station that sits in my office in Jacksonville that corresponds to our office in San Francisco, as long as they both can hit the cloud. So there's some really cool abilities and retrofit options working with our indoor station. And again, you're not wiring the indoor station back to the door station. It's just online. That's how they can.
So question actually coming from myself, because I never retain this information. And there's a reason why I never retain this information, because I'll never reach it. But how many door stations per app?
That's a good question. So it's about 10.
It's about 10. Okay.
Yeah. And if you look at my phone, for instance, you'll find more than 10. However, what we've recognized, though, is that 10 is that number that is reliable. So as far as getting the notifications consistently every time, if you have 10 on there, we say thumbs up. If you got more than that, then it may be a little inconsistent. So let's say 10.
Okay. Gotcha. On a commercial application, can the geo-fencing be set up time zoned, essentially? Can you put time zones on the geo-fencing?
Time zones. Maybe I don't fully understand that question.
Well, so the same way you would on a keypad code, restricted by time.
That's a good question. And I'm actually not totally sure of the answer right now.
I'm 99% sure the answer is no, but we can get back. And I know the guy personally who asked the question, so I'll get you the answer, Galen, on that one. But I'm 99% sure the answer is no.
Yeah, until I can confirm that, I'd say no as well. But that's a good question. And I'm curious, too, what the use case is for that exactly.
Yeah, you potentially you're giving geo-fencing to your employees or whatever that are coming through the gate. Who knows?
Okay.
There's probably a few different use cases.
Right on.
So
Okay.
with that, that looks like the end of our questions. We appreciate everyone joining us here today to go over the solutions. We appreciate you as always, Justin, being a great partner with Controlled Products. If there aren't any more, I think we can call it a wrap.
Awesome. Well, appreciate all your attention and thanks again for bringing me on, Daniel.
Yeah, no problem.
Yep, great. By the way, great session. Take advantage of that coupon code. It's live now. We'll send out a follow-up email with some more resources and a link to that coupon code. So get that first unit under your belt. You're going to love it. Take care, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks.
this. Great job, guys.
Thanks all.